1. My now ex-girlfriend and I were biking one day on a late summer afternoon throughout my childhood neighborhood. This was when I was in early college and still at home over summer breaks. Now we were biking up a street with a fairly steep incline, to the point that it can be a struggle to make it up if you do not have some sufficient speed or force put into it. It also happens to be a main entry into the neighborhood, so although not itself a very busy road per se, there was definite traffic. As a result of this, and trying to not get hit or get in cars' ways, I chose to ride my bike on the sidewalk and my girlfriend on the street, so that we could pedal next to each other. This was on the right side of the street for reference. It was becoming quite the struggle to get up because it was a hot summer day, and we had been out for about an hour. So therefore I decided to speed ahead and just wait for her at the top of the hill. My thought process was that if I just sped up and get to the top, I can take a breath while she catches up, since she had been going more slowly anyway. At the top of the hill is a 4-way intersection with a 2-lane and a 4-lane road converging, and stop signs at all corners. After letting her know, I sped ahead of her to get to the top of the hill. This is where things apparently went wrong. We were maybe a block away from the top of the hill or intersection when I decided to go ahead, so frankly not far at all. I sped up and did not look back at her, as we were so close anyway. I did not feel I needed to check to make sure she was alright, since it would take her another minute maximum to reach me. After reaching the intersection at the top of the hill, and having never left the sidewalk, I turned right, as it was the only way to go that did not require me to cross a road. At this point I stopped pedaling, put my feet on the ground and began to rest, waiting for my girlfriend to round the corner and us to continue. On this corner, through either some code violation or city-sanctioned variance magic, were several very large, 12 feet plus, evergreen bushes planted immediately where the sidewalk ended, and still in the right-of-way. As a result, having turned the corner, I was behind these bushes and could no longer see down the street I came from. I estimate I parked my bike maybe 2 feet from where the sidewalk made a 90-degree turn right. And so I took a breath and a drink of water and waited. And waited. And waited. For about 4 to 5 minutes before growing quite concerned. My girlfriend had been, as I mentioned, maybe a minute or less behind me by the time I reached the top. And she still had not simply rounded the corner and met me. I checked my phone and saw no messages. So I decided to turn back around the corner and see where she's at. Imagine my astonishment when there was nobody biking up that hill when I could now see about half a mile down it. And so I began by biking maybe a quarter mile down the street, and then looking down side streets, growing worried something had happened, or she had taken a wrong turn, of which there was only like one since we were a block away when I left her. This was her town too, so she knew where things were, and none of the side streets led out of the neighborhood in this area, except for the mainish one we were on. As a result, I was skeptical that this was just her being dumb. I genuinely began, after 15 minutes of no sign of her anywhere on that street, to think she was abducted or something. In the end, I retraced our original route for about half a mile before texting her something along the lines of, "Are you alright? Where the fuck did you go?" It took her another 10 minutes to reply. "I went around the corner and you weren't there. You ditched me, so I went home." At this point I was in shock. Her house was in that general direction when she turned the corner, but at the pace we were going, we would have met within a minute of me getting there. She was mad at me for much of the rest of the day and night. But after talking the next day, she stopped after we realized it made no sense. She stated that she watched me speed up, round the corner to the right, and disappear behind the bushes. After 30 to 45 seconds, I guess she decided to speed up too once I had. She had gotten to the sidewalk and rounded the bushes to find nothing. She thought that I had just sped up super fast and gone away and ditched her, even though I've never been that type of person. I had no motivation to do that, and especially would not do that to my significant other. And so she continued on after waiting a minute and went home. Meanwhile, I had been waiting in that exact spot, and she never arrived. At no point did we leave this side of the street, and we were fully aware of the direction we were heading in together. I have no idea how this is possible or what happened. That corner spooks me to this day because of it, and I cannot find any reason why we would not have been in each other's realities momentarily like this. Every other glitch I have ever had involved objects. This is the only time that a person disappeared on me. We rounded the same corner within a minute of each other, but in my reality she never arrived, and in hers I was not there. Please let me know what you think. 2. I was discussing a database anomaly with my boss this afternoon, and we couldn't work out why it was behaving strangely, so he called our colleague, who I will call Ethan, over. Now, the Ethan I remember was relatively pale, had dark short hair, was clean-shaven, smartly dressed, and had a Scottish accent. He was pointed out to me by the other staff not long after when I first joined. I remember talking to him before I got in the lift one day, and I remember he seemed really nervous. I'm not particularly pretty, so it wasn't me that he was nervous about. I'm used to techie people being a bit nervous when it comes to talking, though. He said something about the rain being really heavy, but he kept hesitating, as if something was really worrying him. I just got into the lift when it came and left him there. I don't even know why he was standing there. However, when Ethan was called over today, he looked entirely different. He had darker skin and lighter, much longer hair, and crucially he had an English accent, which was completely different. His manner was much more relaxed, and I'm sure he was taller. He could have grown his hair, but I'm sure I saw the old Ethan only a month before, and his hair was very short. I also remember his surname being different. I looked at an email from him and I said to myself, Ethan Newman, that's weird. I thought he was Ethan Oldman. But stupidly, I went and did something else afterwards because I was still working, and when I came back to think what the old surname was, nothing came to mind. I went through the whole alphabet and all the common surnames I could think of, and nothing seemed right. Still, Oldman seemed wrong. When I tried to think of what it could be, I got a huge headache, and I struggled to think what I was thinking of. It all just seemed so mixed up, as if the current surname was the only one I could think of, but it still seemed off, in a way. I wonder what happened to the old Ethan. Did he only exist in my mind? 3. I've always been a very rational and scientific person, somewhat skeptical. I enjoy reading paranormal and glitchy stories. They entertain me. I like trying to find logical explanations, but I still want to keep an open mind about things that science can't yet explain. I believe I had my fair share of events which I haven't yet found an explanation to, but I think this one deserves to be posted, since many people were actually involved in the glitch, though there's no way I could have somehow dreamed or hallucinated all of this. Disclaimer: I don't smoke or do drugs, or ever did, and have no medical history of mental illnesses or other brain-related conditions that may cause hallucinations or altered perception. A bit of context first. I work for our local Comic-Con in North America. Won't say the exact city for privacy's sake. It's a fairly large geek event that attracts well over 60,000 attendees each year. I work for the logistics department. We are in charge of setting up and maintaining the exhibition hall, aka dealer's room. The exhibition hall is quite large and covers almost an entire floor. Attendees can come in and out through a series of magnetic doors at the front. Every day at opening and closing, we make sure all other doors, including offices, are locked, so that nobody ends up where they shouldn't be. At the back of the hall, there are a few sets of restrooms, usually in pairs, men's and women's, in a small and tight dead-end corridor. The following event happened last year at said con. It's Saturday, the busiest day. I'm patrolling the exhibition hall, making sure everything is running smoothly. I get around the corner at the very back of the hall, and I see a young boy of about 10 to 12 years old, in a grey t-shirt, standing in the corner near the back wall, next to a set of restrooms, alone, crying. As I walk by, a woman from a nearby exhibitor booth comes up to me and explains that this boy has been there for a while, crying alone and seemingly lost. Some exhibitors have tried talking to him in English and even in French, without any luck. She says the boy looked confused, didn't answer, and seemed to not understand a word at all. Other exhibitors had gone to find staff and come back soon when they saw me, sharing the same account as that of the woman. Alright. Since I don't have a radio on me, I text a fellow staff member and ask him to call security, giving my location and all. Soon after, the kid suddenly turns around and sprints down the corridor and into the men's restroom. No big deal, it's a dead end. He's gonna have to come out the same way he got in. So me and the lady from the booth stand in the corridor entrance while waiting for security. And we carefully check everyone coming in and out of the restrooms, in case the boy decides to come out. Anyways, a 10-year-old is a pretty hard thing to try to hide and smuggle out. Other involved exhibitors also decided to stand nearby and help out. A few minutes later, one security agent as well as 2 other fellow logistics staff arrive and ask us where the boy is, and we both indicate the men's restroom. The guard goes to check, but doesn't find the boy. For the next 20 minutes, we are 3 staff members thoroughly searching both the men's and women's restrooms at least 4 times, while 2 exhibitors and other staff watch the entrance, but never finding the kid. The only other door down that corridor led to an office and was properly locked. There were no exits, and the boy never came out. Given the corridor being pretty tight, barely large enough to fit 2 people, there's also no way this boy could have come out without being seen. We give up, thinking that if he managed to sneak past us somehow or found a clever place to hide we missed, he'd eventually come out. We gave his description to all staff members, instructing them to keep an eye open for him, and the lady agreed to keep an eye in the restrooms from her booth. But we never saw that boy again. No missing kid report was ever received either. The kid just seemingly vanished, in front of several witnesses too. Later that week, I discussed about the event with some of my friends who were also attending the convention, either as attendees or staff members, and at least 2 of them remember seeing the lone young crying boy in a grey shirt at the back corner of the hall, and thought it was pretty strange. 4. I don't know how it happened. I'm over 40 and recently had my tonsils taken out. If anyone knows, it's a lot harder for adults to recover from that quickly. Anyway, I live with my sister, and in January 2018 my sister's cat died. While she has several cats, she was really torn up about losing this one, as it only has 3 legs after a car accident. In February, after getting laid off, I had my surgery and stayed with my girlfriend, and then at my mother's as I recovered. I had to go to the emergency room twice for excessive bleeding. The second time I went to the emergency room, they were able to chemically cauterize it using an Afrin nasal spray. The ER doc sprayed tons of it in the back of my throat. After a few hours, I was able to come home as the bleeding began to stop. I got home about 2 a.m. and went to sleep. About an hour later, I began spitting up blood again profusely. My mom and brothers went to bed. I didn't want to wake them, as I had already put them through the ER. In the bathroom mirror, I noticed I looked really pale. I started to get afraid that I might die, as I read so many things about bad tonsillectomy experiences. I know it sounds silly to some, but when you see so much blood coming out of you, you might think that too. Anyway, I got the bottle of Afrin the ER doctor gave me, which the ER bill was $800, and I'm still pissed about that. I sprayed probably half the bottle down my throat. This is where the strangeness happens. I remember praying to the universe that if I die, please, just put me in another parallel universe close to mine. I don't want to leave yet. I then fell asleep almost automatically. When I woke up near morning, I ran to the bathroom. A huge gelatinous blob of blood clot came out of me. It was about the size of my palm, cupped. A few minutes later, after I stopped bleeding, I began to recover very quickly and everything seemed normal. 2 days later, I was able to eat noodles and near normal food except for crunchy stuff. About a week later, I came home and everything seemed normal. I went to the kitchen, and guess who's there? My sister's dead cat alive again. Since then, I have noticed things, many of which are covered in Mandela Effect videos, and some things with friends and family that are somewhat different. But more importantly, I had several revelations come to me in regards to this reality. What happens when we die? I believe that if we live in a simulation, like any other game, we are given a few choices when our avatar dies. Extra life. We get an extra life and respawn in a similar point in the game. Start the game from the beginning, reincarnation, and selection of a new avatar. P.S. I think the light tunnel we see at the end is the birth canal. End the game. Heaven, and rejoin the others that have ended the game. Purpose of the simulation. I believe that we might be from the future, and because of the great wars and destruction, the human race has created a learning machine controlled by artificial intelligence. As children, we are put into this matrix so we can learn and grow, hopefully to live a better, more fulfilled life in the baseline reality. 5. I'm 17, turning 18 this October, and in my life growing up I never believed in a matrix or a simulation. It has always been the supernatural or energy, and I've never taken any medication that relates to a mental health issue in my life. Nor do these stories happen to me when I'm not sober, so here it goes. It started 6 or 7 months ago at a friend's house with my best friend. We were having casual conversation, and on my friend's wall he had a couple of posters about random video games. One of them being Assassin's Creed and a FIFA poster with Messi on it. Now these posters are the most vibrant thing in his room, meaning it always attracts your eye to it. At that time we were going to my friend's almost daily, and I remember one time I got so bored I was reading the posters out loud, and as a joke instead of Assassin's Creed I said, Ass in Creed. And we all started to laugh and made some other dumb jokes about the other posters on his wall. That joke became an inside joke, and we used to say it every time we went into a video game store. As me and my friend are just talking, he points at the poster and goes, Ass in Creed. At first I started laughing, but I just noticed something was wrong. But I couldn't put my hand on it. Almost like I had a response, but I didn't know what it was. Tears start to come out of my eyes, and I couldn't stop laughing. Suddenly it hits me, and the first sentence I try to say is, This has already happened. I try to say it in German as it is my second language, but instead I say it in my native language, Persian. My heart starts to beat faster and my legs go weak, and fall, still laughing and trying my best to say, This has already happened. But I couldn't stop laughing. But I finally managed to say it, and as soon as the sentence ends, I get this cold breeze right down my spine. My friend looks at me as he stops laughing and goes, What do you mean? I mean, shit, I didn't even know what was going on. So I just say what's on my mind and I go, This whole thing already happened before. And right before he opens his mouth I say, What the fuck are you on about? I predicted his sentence almost too perfect and he freezes. I didn't know what the fuck was going on other than I am in no control of my body. And the next 2 words I said were, the door. And 2 seconds later someone rings the doorbell. Once again my friend's face starts to legit turn more white, so I try to stand up and manage, shocked from what just happened. I just run to the door and open it. That was the first loop ever. My friend still to this day gets weirded out when we talk about it. It only got worse as time went on for the next 6 or 7 months. I had visions every time me and him would go out, and I'd just say time loop, and he would know what's up. I won't go into detail about these loops, but they've been breaking me mentally every day. They feel real, and today was the last proof I needed. I've been trying to control them, and for real look into the future, but even I know that's comic book shit. Yesterday I went to my friend's house, and as I enter his room, the cold breeze down my spine happens. I look around and instantly I get a time loop breaker. These are objects, furniture, a person, that light a certain memory in my head that leads to me being aware of the time loop, and it was this big trash bag that had a second trash bag as its head, and was wrapped with black tape. But this time it's weird, the coldness isn't going away, and I get the memories again with me going inside that room and telling him how smart it was to do it like that. So I asked him this, Where did you come up with this trash bag idea, dude? He responded, I don't know. I wish I did it a long time ago, 'cause now it's easier to take it out. So I said, But you've never done shit like that, right? He shakes his head and goes, no. But I wish I figured it out a while ago. I wanted to say something about it, but I didn't want to freak him out. This time it was different. It was always a foggy memory, but now it's shit I remember living months ago. But when I think about it, saying months ago, doesn't feel right anymore. As if I'm reliving my life every day, and today was the longest loop ever. Me and my friend usually just sleep till about 2 or 3 p.m., waking up and going out to do something. But today I woke up first and looked at my phone, and I remember seeing 7:35. So I wake my friend up and say, yo, let's wake up a bit earlier and go do some other shit. So he wakes up. As I'm going to the bathroom, I look at my phone and it now suddenly says 10:40. I squinted my eyes and thought I probably just didn't see right. But no. I turn my head and look at the vintage clock they have in their hall, and it says 10:41. I didn't think much of it, and just went on with my day. We both get ready and head out, and as we go to the bus station, there is this distinct view that we always have to look at as we're waiting for the bus. It's this huge field with mountains connected to it, with tiny villages on it, very Austrian I would say, and we would always cloud gaze there. And last week we both saw a dinosaur head, and were amazed at how good it looked. As I look in the clouds, I couldn't believe my fucking eyes, and I saw the same cloud form as last week. I instantly mentioned to my friend, and he couldn't believe it either. In seconds the cloud changes its shape, as if someone stuck their finger in the cloud and spinned it. As I got in the bus, I was thinking about last week and what I did. So as I'm rethinking everything, as I get into the bus and see the exact same people in the bus, doing the exact shit like last week. Woman with no shoes resting her feet on the seat. Now I have 2 sets of memories in my head, as if I'm reliving it, but doing it different. Without looking at the rest of the bus, I know what and where everyone else was, so I test myself. And don't look at the rest of the bus and instantly choose the seat that has the least amount of view to the rest of the bus, and rush myself to it. I close my eyes and try to think of the shit that's going to happen. First thing I knew was a man with a leather jacket is going to come and sit close to the woman resting her feet. I wait till the next station, and I couldn't believe it, but the same guy comes and sits in the same exact spot. The only difference was I wasn't next to him. These loops have been destroying me, and if anyone can help me, please tell me what's going on with me. Or is this only a mental problem? Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Glitch in the Matrix 72. Thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. It is a sleepy Hellfreezer that greets you once again, my friends. I'm still being very naughty with my sleep schedule. I rather foolishly today, I looked at the clock and thought, oh well, getting to bed late today. And instead of going to bed, which is what I should have done, I thought to myself, you know what? The little post office sorting office will be open right now, because there was a package that was meant to arrive the day before. It was a book I'd ordered. It was a copy of Rupert Everett's biography, Red Carpets and Other Banana Skins. And it was apparently too big to go through the door, which, in fairness, I'll give them credit this one time. They may have tried to put it through the door. They don't always. And sure enough, it wouldn't fit through the door. It was just a bit too big. So I thought to myself, I could just grab that card and cycle up the street and get it right now. Which is what I did, instead of going to bed. Wasn't the best idea I've ever had, but I do have the book. Plus a few other bits and bobs that I've been meaning to get. So, at least there's that. Anyway, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.